Okay. Okay. Uh, this is term 1 week 6 chemistry. Very, very, very similar to the periodic. We're gonna fly through it. Okay. What happens when you add an acid HCl to carbonate? What happens? أكيد we effervesce because we get a gas, right? Effervesce يعني gas is produced, right? Okay, I want you before we continue, we know CO3 to minus. When you add an acid NaH plus, you get CO2 gas plus H2O liquid water. Okay, so we get a gas, it's colorless. أكيد we know carbon dioxide doesn't have any color. The gas turns lime water milky, obviously. Does the yellow precipitate? No. Creamy? No, no. Okay. Okay, question 2. What is the effect of hydrogen gas on a lighted splint? We know it makes a pop. It explodes, right? Very easy. What is the effect of oxygen gas on a splint? It relights it, right? Oxygen causes the splint to be relit. So yeah, we said oxygen relit. For to test for ammonia, of course, it will change the red litmus paper to blue. Some people will not pick this. Why? Because they see red litmus paper, they're like, oh no, ammonia is blue litmus paper. They're saying, what do you use to test ammonia? Ammonia will change red to blue. So we're gonna obviously need to use a red one to change it to blue, right? A glowing splint, akid, no, no. A rod dipped in concentrated HCl. Honestly, okay, look, I don't really understand this one, okay, but I think what they mean is because when you add an acid to ammonia, they form a white precipitate. So they form a precipitate. They form what salt do they form? Wait, hold on. Yeah, they form NH4, Cl, and water. Okay, when you mix these two together, because the NH takes the H, becomes NH4 and a Cl, and you get water. Anyway, that's how it works. Okay, you get NH4Cl when you dip it with HCl. See, I'm not sure that's correct, but I think that's why. If you do know why, please put it in the comments. Do you use a blue litmus paper? See, people they'll choose E. Obviously, E is wrong because you're not gonna use a blue paper to test for ammonia. Ammonia will change from red to blue, so you're gonna need a red one to test. 5. Okay, when ammonia is mixed with a solution, no precipitate forms. Uh, why? Because we know in our cal zone, okay, you have NaOH and you have ammonia. You know that with Ca, no reaction forms with ammonia. So that's why NH3 will give you no precipitate. 6. Okay, you added some NaOH to an unknown solution. You get a pungent smell gas that turns red litmus paper blue. So akid, that gas is ammonia, NH3. But what does the solution contain? NH4 plus. How can you get ammonia from the tests? What are the two things that give me ammonia? NaOH. شو NaOH؟ قصدي NO3 and NH4. NH4, both of these, if you add NaOH and here NaOH, you're gonna get ammonia. But what's the difference? Is that here you also have to add aluminium, right? Here, did they say anything about aluminium? No. So that means we're gonna choose NH4. Okay. 7. Okay, what's a yellow-green gas? And I know yellow-green chlorine. That's how I memorized it. A colorless, odorless gas that relights a glowing splint, oxygen. Anytime you think of a glowing splint, any fire. What causes a fire? Oxygen. A colorless that makes a pop, it's hydrogen. Just memorize this. Pungent smell that turns red litmus paper blue, that turns moist litmus paper, it turns it blue. ما في غير إلا الأمونيا. Which one turns lime water milky? Carbon dioxide. Which one decolorizes a purple potassium manganate? Sulfur dioxide. Okay. 8. Okay, what is the color of the flame for each of these? Lithium akid is crimson red. Sodium is yellow. Potassium is violet or lilac. 9. A white precipitate forms when few drops of something are added to calcium. Calcium, remember, calcium can only react with NaOH. It does not react with NH3. I'm not going to draw the table again. But when you get precipitate with calcium, when you add NaOH. Also, no, never mind. That's something else. Or does it? Yeah, it does. It does actually. If you, in case they ask it, but they probably won't. We remember how we have BaSO4. instead of Ba, you can also put Ca because they have like similar properties. Okay, so this will also give you a white precipitate. But no, they don't ask this. Question 10. Okay, a few drops of NaOH are added to AlNO3. A white precipitate forms that is soluble in excess NaOH. Complete and balanced. Okay. What white precipitate forms with aluminium that is soluble in NaOH? You know, when you add in our table calzone, NaOH, وعندك NH3. This one we said this was insoluble, and this one's no reaction. This one is soluble, this one's insoluble, this one's soluble. We know that aluminium is soluble in excess NaOH, right? When you add aluminium to NaOH, you're gonna get Al3 plus, okay? It's Al3 plus. How do you know it's 3 plus? Because NO3 has a subscript of 3, so that's the charge of Al. So you have Al3 plus. When you add it to NaOH, what's it reacting with? Always, you know, you're gonna react with the OH minus, right? This is what we care about. Because NaOH, when you dissolve it in water, by the way, you're gonna get OH minus and Na plus. Okay, N, whatever, Na plus. Okay, so this Al3 plus and this OH minus, we're gonna form a precipitate, right? How do you know what the precipitate is? You do crisscross, you're gonna get AlOH3. So how would you write the equation? Here's what we're gonna. They said complete and okay, what did I put here? Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's already written for. Top. Okay, this is way easier. Okay, look. Obviously, okay, you have to follow the same steps I just did. You need to figure out that it's AlOH3, right? We figured that out. We crisscross. We got AlOH3. Now balance. You have 3 OHs, so you're gonna put the 3 here. Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess. Yeah. State symbols are already written. Oh, but you need to put the state symbol of aluminium hydroxide. Actually, it's gonna be a solid because it's a precipitate, right? It's solid, right? Yes. Okay. What's the name of the precipitate? It should be aluminium hydroxide. Yeah, aluminium hydroxide. See? This III is used to represent the charge of a cation. But 90% of the time you don't write it. You only write it usually for when you have iron, because you need to distinguish if it's iron 2 or iron 3, right? With the name you can't know unless you put this II thingy, okay? Also with, I think, lead. I'm not sure, but anyway, I think there's a question like that. Okay, question 11. Upon adding a few drops of NaOH to Fe2+, we know when you add to Fe2+, you can get a green precipitate, okay? And when exposed to air, it turns into Fe3+, by the way, and gets you a brown precipitate, okay? That's very important. When you get air, it becomes oxidized, and it becomes Fe3+, which is brown. Upon adding a few drops of NaOH to Fe3+, we know you get a rusty brown, or red-brown. Okay, complete the following and okay, so they give you this. A few drops of NaOH are added to FeNO3. A red-brown precipitate formed that is insoluble in excess NaOH. Red-brown, and akid we know we're using Fe3+. Okay. What do we have here? We have FeNO3. So we know that the Fe3+ is reacting with something else. What is it reacting with? NaOH. What do we react with? Akid the OH. I always told you when you have OH and you're reacting with OH. OH minus. So what's the product gonna be? You crisscross and you're gonna get FeOH3. So بتنزل لهون بتحط لك FeOH3. شو الستيت تبعتها؟ أكيد it's a precipitate. So solid. Okay? And balance, you're gonna put a 3 here. Now here, what's the name of the precipitate? To say iron hydroxide is wrong. This by the OH means hydroxide, huh? To say iron hydroxide is wrong. Since it's Fe3+, you have to say iron I. Okay, and we put this in brackets. Let me just double check. Iron trihydroxide. هلا for 14. Okay, a few drops of NaOH are added and you get a pale blue. Pale blue بسرعة, you put copper. هلا there are other questions in this quiz about copper that unfortunately I did not study for the periodic, and she ended up getting the whole written from these two questions. Unfortunately, they weren't in any periodic quizzes. Well, unfortunately, I skipped over them when I was reading the notes. So I got a lot of stuff wrong in the written. But anyway, I like how the regional, I don't know, I think it's a girl. I like how she puts them in the AMS quiz. So like after you finish the periodic, you see them in the AMS quiz and be like, oh, I could have like done them for the written. Anyway, anyway, question 15. Upon adding ammonia to a solution that contains copper, you get this is what came in the written. Okay, it was like a 3-mark question. Okay, they're like, what happens when you add NH3 to this to the solution you have? You should write pale blue precipitate for that form. And then they said, what happens when they add excess NH3? Okay, you're supposed to say it dissolves, and then when it dissolves, it forms a deep blue solution. Okay, this was a 3-mark question. 1 mark for this, 1 mark for this, 1 mark for this. Okay. Honestly, I'm not gonna say the answer I put, but I'm just gonna tell you I only got 1 mark. I only put this. Okay, I didn't know. I made up something else for the other stuff. Uh, but memorize it. There's also another question. I think it's the last question in this quiz that also came written. Okay, we know. What's this? 3 solutions. Okay, chloride, bromide, and iodide. So respectively means yani A, B, C. Okay, A is chloride, yani you get white. B is bromide, so creamy. C is iodide, yani yellow. Iodine loves yellow. Okay, when you add when you add acidified solution of barium nitrate, barium NO3, BaNO3, to sulfate SO4, what do you get? White precipitate, because Ba with SO4 gets you a white precipitate. Question 18. A solution that contains nitrate ions is warmed with small pieces of aluminium and NaOH. What do you get? You're going to get NH3, right? Ammonia. But ammonia, what does it have? It has a pungent smell, and it turns moist red litmus paper, turns it into blue. صح? 19. Chlorine gas, what does it do? It bleaches. يعني خلاص. Quickly. Few drops of NaOH are added to solution that contains the N2+. What's the color of the precipitate? White, right? And we know that zinc is always soluble in excess ammonia and in excess NaOH, right? So it's soluble in excess NaOH and it's also soluble in excess NH3. Question 21. What color will the flame have if you put it over calcium? Calcium chloride, because calcium is what we care about. It's always brick red, right? Adding a few drops from liquid water to anhydrous copper. This came. They said we added water. This is also the compound they gave. They said anhydrous copper sulfate. And I had no idea what I was doing. I also this one I got it wrong at the written. When you add, it's a test for water. It's to test if the compound has water. To test if there's what if you're adding water, anhydrous copper sulfate changes from white to blue. You had to see the color change. I got it wrong. Anyway, we're done here. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck tomorrow.